take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street. That's number one. There's a consensus on that. Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now. And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created. Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them. They are beyond the pale, many of those people. Beyond the pale. And it's a sad commentary on society. We have no choice but to take them out of society. And the truth is, we don't very well know how to rehabilitate them at that point. That's the sad truth. I'm the guy that said, rehabilitation, when it occurs, we don't understand it and notice it. And even when we notice it and we know it occurs, we don't know why. So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release. That's why in our system, there's the federal system, you serve 85% of your time. It's a shame, but we don't know how to rehabilitate. But there is a consensus, and I will cease. A, we must make the streets safer. I don't care why someone is a malfactor in society. I don't care why someone is antisocial. I don't care why they become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society, try to help them, try to change their behavior. That's why we do in this bill. We have drug treatment and we have other treatments to try to deal with it. But they are in jail, away from my mother, your husband, our families. But we would be absolutely stupid as a society if we didn't recognize the condition that nurtured those folks still exist. And we must deal with that.
Hello, everybody. How y'all doing today? The reason I showed you that video is so that you can see the spirit and the pace and the thought. And even he had a little bit of speech problems here and there, but it was him thinking fast and on his feet and sharp and quite aware of what he was talking about. But the part of the speech that really bothered me the most is the last sentence that he said. He uttered the words, "The condition that nurtured those people still exists." I wrote that down because I don't want to get that wrong. The condition that nurtured those people still exists. And what he's saying is they're still racist. The condition that nurtured us is them. They created the conditions that we live in. They created everything that we've experienced since we've been here in this country. They brought us over here and then have resisted our growth, our advancement, our freedom, our basic freedom. We can't even talk for ourselves. And the reason I made this video before I caught that part at the end, I watched that video many times, and at the end I just started really listening to him and some of the things he said earlier in the video. But that part, the condition that nurtured those people still exists. For Joe Biden to say that out of his mouth is a clear admittance of what we've all been living through, what we've all been dealing with our whole life. But the thing I would like for you guys to know and to stop doing, because I'm doing my best. I buy people beers. I try to walk away, because when you start talking about this election season, and especially me, I've never voted Republican in my life. Never. I doubt if I ever will. I don't know, unless Trump negotiates with us, because I am not voting the same I have voted in the past. And I'm not saying I'm not going to vote Democrat. What I'm saying is I'm not going to vote with the same mindset. The last election, they got me because I keep voting with my people. I keep voting because I see our large voting block. I know how effective that is. I know how that that part of politics works. But when we keep voting in that big old large block and giving our power over to these people and praying that they do something good for us, or feeling that our vote has put us in good favor with Joe Biden, and that's good enough. And we just want to be well liked and accepted in the Democratic Party just by giving them our vote, because up until we voted in that large block and given our vote to the Democrats so consistently, so passionately, so religiously, so lovingly. I mean, we just give them our vote like it's our duty, and like we're still repaying them for Johnson signing that voting act. I don't agree. We should have to repay anything for anybody about anything. We were slaves. When you take somebody as a slave and you are attempting to bring them up to I was going to say restore. It's not even restore. We keep talking about repairing what? You guys need to just bring us up through negotiations and fairness to where you guys are. And it can't be a Democratic and it can't be a Republican thing. We're not slaves anymore. No party owns us. No side should we be more partial to. We should be black. They should be blue and they should be red. And we should be black. And we should sit in the middle of that fence. And every election season, we should see which way that wind is blowing. And when that wind is blowing our way, when that wind is blowing in the direction of the black, then that's the way we vote. As that large 95% block that we can create shit. And if we know we getting something for ourselves, it's some other black folks that we possibly can regain their voting rights, get them involved, and even bring it up to 98 to 100%. But we would be a solid block with a agenda, and that congressional black caucus, congressional black, they gotta go. They're not for us. They're working with the Democrats against us. If you guys don't see that, you getting played bad, and it's not right, and it's not right for us to be getting into arguments with each other over what they're doing to us behind our back. No, Joe Biden didn't. Joe Biden this and Joe Biden. I'm hearing like, are you serious? Are you really gonna argue for that man? After seeing that tape, I would never ever, even if I did feel he was a good man in my heart, which I don't. But if I did, I couldn't see myself arguing with another black man after he's presenting that kind of evidence into the contrary. But everybody feel different about different things. I get it. But I don't feel different about us doing better as black people. I don't feel different about them coming up with some ideas and some ways to benefit our lives and to bring us up economically. How come to bring us up economically is something that now no one can afford it? But if a war breaks out in one of our allied countries, we're going to be there. We're going to give them weapons. We're going to give them cash. We're going to give them food. We're going to give them all the stuff that they won't give us. And I just think at the time has come when we need to get stronger, quit arguing with black people. Somebody come up with you with this Trump talk, and you got a argument that you'd like to present it in the form of a conversation. And let's stop debating, and let's stop having arguments, especially outside, but in the house too, man. Let's just keep it down to a conversation. And you talk about your part, and you talk about your part, and you blend them together and see how that goes. I was wondering if you could take two people who have just conflicting ideas on this stuff, just can't bring it together. Could we get AI in there and put your belief here and your belief there? They morphing pictures together. They should be able to morph somebody's thoughts and see what this brainwashed black person thinks against this brainwashed black person, because we all are brainwashed to a degree. I don't sit here and use that word as if I'm speaking to or about people. I'm speaking about myself included, because I look back over my life and I look at I look at things way different now than I did when I was in my late teens, early 20s, 30s, 40s, and even up to a few years ago. I look back and I go, wow, how did I think that way? And then I think about how forceful black people are, and how you can be made to feel like an outcast because you don't believe what they believe, and it's six of them, and you're sitting there by yourself, and they're going, man, he crazy. Popcorn be true. Like, no, no, really, you guys. And they'd be like, psh, because that's what white people say. Well, I say a lot of things that white people say because those are the things I want for us. I'm not saying I want to be like a white person, but the things that they have as far as opportunities, as far as the education and opportunities for education, as far as the wealth, as far as the ability to move on from this life and leave something behind for your grandkids and your kids. Yeah, I want those things. And I don't think that's wanting to be white. I think that's just wanting to be like what the American dream is supposed to be, which is a daydream. It's not nothing that's real. It's nothing that we're ever going to be able to touch. But everybody does get to make their own dream. And everybody, does their own thing. Some people go and incorporate a lot of religion into their life, and it brings them relief and peace and whatever it is they're searching for. Some people find that through politics. I happen to find it by hanging out with people who I like. If I don't like you, I don't be around you a lot. If you don't see me a lot, it's probably because I don't like you. But if I like you, I'm coming around you. I'm putting myself out there. This is a very different platform than most of us have been able to access in our life. So to be able to talk to people and they can listen if they want to, or they don't have to listen if they don't want to, is a wonderful opportunity. But I can't just keep standing by and letting people argue over Joe Biden. That's like, I don't care how you feel about Joe Biden. I don't care if you consider yourself a Democrat. When black people say, I'm a Democrat, you're a Democrat, really? I mean, do you really understand the whole? Yeah, you do. I know you do. And you still want to be like sticking that flag in the ground, and then they get our vote, and then they go behind closed doors and make a left and a right, and or give us people instead of policies, and give us people instead of money. The opportunity, we need to be at the front of the line when it comes to business loans, and then we need to be left alone. We need to be at getting the money that we're creating in this rap culture, and we need to be left alone so our creativity can be the driving force and not what somebody else wants to hear us say. Because if you ain't rapping what they want you to say, your contracts start dwindling and you start being pushed aside. But that never happens because rappers gonna do what they gotta do to rap. That's their industry, that's their music. But unfortunately, of all the things that we are involved in that make money in any kind of way, someone has taken it over. And if they can't take it over by physically owning the company, or buying the product and selling it to us or whatever, then they have to find a way to. I mean, God, look at the platforms out there. All you hear on most of these platforms, they're talking about black people, but how many of them are black? It's a lot of people who are not black speaking on our subjects, speaking on our topics, speaking on our culture, speaking on our women, and that's another one. We're gonna do a lot of talk about women. I think our black women are something. As a black man, I guess maybe if I was a black woman, I'd be feeling another way. But I think that's a topic that we need to really get ourselves around as well. But I just want to have conversations. I just want to talk to you guys and not just be reporting current events and news that should be reported and that I do plan to involve myself in. But I'm more of a historical person. I'm more of the kind of person that like to remind you and keep going back to these things so that we don't continue to make those same mistakes again. So that we can, move on from this stuff. So we can't continue to do the same thing again and again and keep expecting it. We don't even I take that back. We don't even expect a different result. We pray for a different result, which is even worse. I mean, we actually vote for Joe Biden that fiery little young senator there on the Senate floor, senator, and here we are in 2024, and the Senate is just as racist as it's been for decades. How are they? What is that stronghold coming from? Where's that grip? Well, part of it is from us. Well, we keep voting blue no matter who, and we keep sending up a congressional black caucus that isn't really fighting for us. They're behind the doors making deals that we know nothing about. They get out there and have to explain to us what Joe Biden or any president has done for us. They have to tell us, because other than that, we wouldn't know. Oh, you don't appreciate when black people tell me that you don't know what Joe Biden did. Let me tell you, no. I'm black just like you are. If you have to tell me, then he ain't do that much. Because we should all know. All black people should know. How come back in the day, and it's unfortunate that we have to deal with any kind of government programs, but remember back in the day, people would knock on your door or call you and tell you, hey man, they giving away this, or you can get that. You know, when you're in the neighborhood and times is hard, people needed things that they could get, and the government was kind of breaking off some things. Some of that stuff's more community based now, I guess, but it does occur. But now, you know, we're here 159 years after slavery. Here we are, and we're still in line with immigrants who just got to this country. We're still, in fact, they're in some lines that we're not even permitted in. So we need to start looking at that kind of stuff. Send different people to Washington to represent us. I think our case needs to be kind of taken seriously to the point of where we are a special class, we're a special case, and we can no longer continue to go through the normal court system and the normal procedures and treaties and I guess amendments to this constitution and this court system and this country need to be made that include us, so that the leverage is more there. I mean, voting is a hell of a thing, and they gave us that right, and we need to use it appropriately. They did not expect us to be so chummy and give it back like we have been. I didn't. Who would have thought that? Looking back, but it was during a turbulent time. They were killing our black leaders. You know, a lot was going on in the country, people being assassinated and the like. So I understand how people can just cling to anything that feels safe. And the Democrats at that time signing that act and would give the black people the feeling, all right, we got a little lift up here. You feel kind of cool about them. But all right, the honeymoon is over, y'all. Let's get it together. We gotta band together, quit arguing with each other. And I say that because if we start talking and conversing and having different kind of, it's not going to benefit any of us. We were all slaves from different plantations, and if you get sold to another plantation and you get over there, you might say, whoa, it's way better over here than it was over there, but it's still slavery. All right, so let's keep that in mind. No matter which party you're part of, there's still that ceiling. You don't see either one of those parties just knocking it out of the park for black people. And that's not by accident, that's intentional. See you on the next Black Popcorn. Have a good one, you guys.